Ladies, how are you? Welcome to our final masterclass in the entire series for August, where I have literally taken you through from the birth of your business up until where we're at now. So, for those of you that have joined before, sorry, I'm just going to clean my camera, it looks a bit fuzzy. So, for those of you that have joined before, we started off with what the framework is to launch your business. I dropped my pen. What the framework is to launch your business, and then we went on to how to generate an audience in 30 days, because you can do it that quickly. It's all about how you manage up here. And then we went into how do you create offers that sell. What we're going to focus on today is how do you get that consistency in your launch, so that when you launch you always get 5 figures. 5 figures might seem like a lot. It's really not. Getting multiple 5 figures, like if you think about it, if you wanted to generate $1 million in your business, what would 5 figures look like each month? They look at just a little bit over 83,000 each month. So when you're breaking it down into figures, because your business is a numbers game, so when you're breaking it down into figures, you can see what it is that you need to do to be able to generate the results that you want. So when you come on, make sure that you let me know that you're here and say hi. And I want this to be as interactive as possible, because you get the most out of it when you're completely engaged. We're going to go through quite a lot today, because I'm going to recap on some of the bits we did before, and then I'm going to show you the strategy. And then I want to be able to have time to answer your questions if you have any at the end. So for those of you that are just joining us today, hi, you're so welcome. My name is Joanna O'Halloran, and I am a business success coach, and I show female entrepreneurs, specifically coaches, consultants and holistic therapists, how to build momentum in their business so that you can go from having no clients to being sold out. Creating offers and generating offers is my jam. It is my jam. It is when I stepped into really who I got to be as a business owner, and really captivated my power and what works very well for me in terms of who I am and what I really enjoy doing. I found what it was that I wanted to do. So that's where you get to do too, because one of the secrets in generating consistent 5k launches is that you've got to be connected to what you're doing. You have got to be in the zone of what you're doing. You've got to maintain your energy from start to finish. You don't have an opportunity to drop your energy and to lose and to be disconnected from it. You want to be connected with it all the time. So whether you're watching live or whether you're going to be watching the replay back, the first thing I want you to do is to share what do your current launches look like. So in terms from like a sales perspective, do you convert every time you sell? Like, do you convert 4 figures, 5 figures? Do you have consistency? Do you have inconsistency? Share in the chat box just so that I can get a sense as to what's here, because I want to be able to lean into it more and to give you the actual information that is going to serve you, and get you to those consistent 5k launches. So when you know what your sales currently are, you can then start to have a look and see, well, what's in the gap. Because I shared this about me out to my email list last week. I think actually it was on Saturday it went out. But I shared where the gap was with me getting random results, like an inconsistent results, to getting consistent results. And it was down to my application of what was being shared. A lot of people don't take the coaching. They think that there's a different way to do it, or they'll put their own spin on it. And this is where the gap is between when something works and when something doesn't work. You have got to be committed to create whatever it is that you're creating, and you have got to know what you're committed to creating. So for the purposes of this, your commitment wants to be consistent 5k launches. So you've got to be focused on that, and you've got to do it without any conditions attached. What do I mean by conditions? What I mean is that it doesn't matter if you feel uncomfortable, you're going to do it anyway. If you don't know how to do something, you ask. You don't just decide you're not going to do it. If something happens in life, you don't allow that to be an excuse and a reason to not go do it, because life is always going to happen. But your thoughts around what happens in life determines all of this, which is why I'm saying your energy needs to be the start, or the same from start to finish. So share what it is that your launch looks like right now. Like, what are your sales? I'll share mine. My very first 5-figure month was just over 11,500, and I made it in 3 weeks. And I was delighted with myself. Delighted. And I was like, right, this is it, it's going to happen. This is just the way it's going to be from now on. And it wasn't. It wasn't. I done those 6 weeks of nothing. After I had like an amazing first 5 figure month, I then went to nothing. When I say nothing, I had my clients that were already in existence, but I didn't generate any more sales, even though I was in a sales period. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? It worked. Now, why is it not working? And I had to actually like do the steps backwards and go, right, what was I doing then? And now what am I doing? And it was so funny. I stopped taking the coaching. I stopped applying what I was being taught. I just stopped because I had it figured out now, right? I had my shit together. My ego took over. That was never going to work. How could that ever work? Because if you let your ego rule you, and your ego is all about the conditions, the excuses, the reasons, it's very hard to generate results. You have got to be committed to whatever it is that you're creating, no matter what. No matter what. And that is where most people do not want to do this. Okay, so the first thing, like I said, we're going to fly through this because there is a lot that I want to cover with you. What I'm sharing with you in today's masterclass, you get to take this away and apply it. I'm going to give you a caveat with this. If you don't apply it exactly how I'm teaching it, will you get results? Possibly. Will you get the consistent 5K launches? No, you won't. So you get to commit right now to yourself that you're going to apply this in exactly how it's being delivered. Do things get uncomfortable along the way? Of course they do. Of course they do. Because what we want to create, we've never created before. Therefore, you've got to step outside your comfort zone. We don't want to do that. But how does our comfort zone look? Do you know what your comfort zone looks like? Like when you're stepping outside of it, do you know what that feels like? I didn't. I definitely didn't. Definitely didn't. What it looks like for me when I'm going beyond my comfort zone is I will see stuff around the house that could have been broken for ages, but now bothers me. I will have had a tickly throat for a while, but now it bothers me. Didn't before, but now it does. All of a sudden, Leah, who's my daughter, will want lifts from work. I would have said no before, but now I feel obliged to say yes. So whenever you're going outside your comfort zone, fear will not come up into your face as in, I feel afraid. No, because that would be too easy, right? We don't do things easily. It will come across in multiple different things that happen. I went through a phase of getting sick at the start of my business, which was great because sure, I didn't have to do anything then because I was sick, right? And then Leah got sick. And of course, me being a good mother, I wanted to look after her. She's an adult, so I wanted to look after her. So know that life is going to happen. Oh, also, for any of you that have been with me from the very beginning, the volume of plumbing issues I had was insane. I ended up having to get 3 different showers, 2 different pumps, and the electricity fuse box changed. What a way to keep me stuck and keep me stopped in my tracks, right? But what happens? Most people will use them as the excuses to not move forward. My friend Michelle Tasco came out with the most incredible sentence. She was doing a talk in when I was in San Diego in April, and you know when somebody says something you're like, oh my goodness, this is so profound, like it makes sense. She turned around and she was talking about how her first ever mentor was giving out to her for all the excuses that she was making. And she was like, Michelle, I'm just going to tell it to you like it is. Excuses are pre-planned lies. And I just went, yeah, because we have to think about them beforehand and then we deliver them, which means that they're a lie because we've already decided that we're going to say it instead of just owning stuff. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to generate consistent 5-figure launches. You get to decide and put it into the chat box. What will be an incredible 5-figure launch for you? My first one was just over 11,500. I think it was like 11,738 or something like that. My next one was just shy of 22. They kept creeping up and creeping up. But like I said to you, after my first one, I dropped, which is what a lot of people do. And then they decide that this business isn't for them and they're not going to be able to continue on and generate it. It's just not going to work. I went to just over 25, then I went to 27, and now I'm well into the 30s, right? And so on and so forth. So it goes up. I know that whenever I make an offer, I will generate this. I don't even question it. I already know what's going to happen. which one it is. I'm not attached to it. So the first thing that you have got to know in terms of generating your things is don't attach to the outcome. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, if you're attached to the outcome, which will be like say 5 figures, you won't receive it. And here's why, because you're going to get into getting energy. You want to get that. Therefore, how you come across will be disingenuous. The people on the other end will know that there's an agenda, and you'll struggle to attract people in. Attraction marketing is more than just the wording that you use. It's the energy in which you show up. So you don't want to attach yourself to the outcome. What you do want to attach yourself with is getting connected with the relationships that you're building. So what are the relationships that you're committed to building to do this? So how do you do that? I hope you're all taking notes with this, right? Because this is important. How do you do this? The first thing you do is, what's your niche? And for those of you that have been on since day one, if you don't know this, pick one. Just pick one. Who's your niche? Within there, who's your ideal client? Your ideal client is more than just being like a man or a woman or like a parent. Your ideal client is more than that. Who's your ideal client? Your ideal client is somebody that pays, does the work, takes responsibility. So as well as knowing what your avatar is, you want to know that they fit into all of these. And I'm going to show you why when we go into the 3 M's now in a minute. So I really want you to get engaged in the chat box and share with me. What would a consistent 5 figures look like for you? What would you love? And remember, to hit 6 figures, you don't actually need to have 5-figure months. The reason why I love teaching all of this is because you can actually see that you don't have to launch every single solitary month. Some people love that. Some people absolutely love that. I don't love that, and I don't teach that to my clients. The model that we use, and again, if you've been following me for a while, you will know this, is 50% lead gen, yeah, 25% sales, and 25% nurture. This is important. Note this down for you. Okay, 50% lead gen, 25% sales, 25% nurture, and I'm going to show you why soon. So Monica, you're saying 20,000 a month. Okay, great. So you now know what it is that you're aiming for. You then get to work backwards, right? So you now know who your ideal client is. How many do you need to hit whatever your amount is? This is where you get to get really clear on your pricing, right? Because I can safely say I have yet to have somebody come to me and charge what the value of their offering is. They charge what they feel they're worth. That is a dangerous, dangerous slope, because you will not attract in these people. You just won't. Do most people go through this phase? Yes. But you get to commit now. You don't have to go through that phase. You can commit right now that you're going to charge the value of your service. So let me write that down. The value of your service, not your worth. Why is this important to not charge your worth? Not charge what you feel, versus the value of your service. Why is that important? Let me tell you. Your worth is all to do with your mindset. Because your program and the transformation that people are going to get is not going to change a huge amount. Therefore, what is the value of your service? What's the actual value? If you've been with me for over all these masterclasses, you will know that people do not buy your service. They buy the transformation. The transformation is your value. The transformation is not your worth. And that's where most people fall down. And why they find it so hard to break these figures and do them consistently, because you're attached to, I wish I had a different colour, you're attached to your self-worth, which you then attach to the outcome. When this is where your mindset is at, your results are going to be very average. Very, very average. I need testimonials. So Monica, we've talked about this. Yes, you do need testimonials, but you've got to put yourself out there to get them. This still has nothing got to do with your worth. What is the value of your service? Okay, Monica, so I will drop the price for the first time clients. Why? You can absolutely have an opening price, like as in an early bird offer, but you have to remember, who are you attracting in, right? So this is number one, right? Number two is, what's the transformation? What is the transformation that people are going to get? Let me give you an example with me, right? So the transformation that my clients get is they come in with either no clients or inconsistent clients to consistent clients and consistent revenue, and a rinse and repeatable system that works. I have no client that hasn't generated results. Zero. What's the transformation? What's the transformation that's offered? You've got to follow these in order. So number one is, what's your niche? Who's your ideal client? And make sure that you put in here that they pay, that they do the work, that they take responsibility. Because otherwise you're going to end up bringing in people that blame you for them not getting the results, even though you can only give them the tools. You cannot get them to do the work. They've got to want to do the work. And some people are just committed to suffering and being in misery and wanting somebody else to do it for them rather than doing it themselves, because it's hard, right? There's no point in saying it's not. It is hard to do the work, no matter what type of an industry you're in. Like, so whether you're in health, whether or not you're a personal trainer, whether or not you're a business coach, or a transformation coach, or a leadership coach, an empowerment coach, a yoga instructor, a Pilates instructor, you're somebody that sells oils, you're somebody that sells supplements, whatever it is, there is a transformation. But the person has to want to do the work that goes along with the transformation, or else they're not going to get the results. And that's what most people don't want to do. It's all about the transformation. So these are things that you get to know right now before you go into launching. I'm going to give you the strategy, but if you do not focus on these and work on these, you will not generate these results. What comes up for people when we talk about the niche and the transformation? The same thing that comes up for everybody, right? Is in, I can help everybody. Yes, you can, but you can't message that. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and why it's necessary to message to just one person. Like, even when I'm doing like the instant coaching, or if I'm typing out an email, I have one person in mind that I'm speaking to. I'm not speaking to everybody. It's one person, because one person, something will have happened that will have triggered this in me that I know is there to support everybody. So you don't focus on everybody, you focus on one person. One person. What else comes up when you think about these is, Monica, if you take you, for example, with the transformation, I don't have any clients yet. That's great. You still want to put out a service. It doesn't matter. You know what you've got to do. You've got to go out and speak to at least 10 people that fit into your ideal client avatar, and figure out their before and what they need to get to where they are, because they're going to tell you, right? They're going to tell you what they need. What else comes up around this? Fear of not being good enough, right? Like for most people is, well, you know, I haven't had any clients, or, you know, like Monica just said there, I don't have any testimonials. They're excuses to not actually get the results, because there's nothing stopping us from going and getting them, right? Where did my first testimonials come from? I did practice clients. I practiced. If somebody got a result, they gave me a testimonial. That was where it started. Maybe 3 years ago now. It's insane to think that. But that's where it started. You've got to be in a position to want to be like, solve the problem that's in front of you, not create more problems For every time you put like a reason on top of something, you're creating another problem. Don't be in problem creation, be in problem solution. Always be in problem solution. Okay. So step 1, your niche. Step 2, your transformation. Because guess what? This is where your offer is. I'm going to talk to you about this in a minute, but this is where your offer is. So know that your offer is not your service, your offer is not your program, your offer is not your product. Your offer is in the transformation. People buy emotion. Okay, we're going to keep going. Okay, so we're going to talk about the 3 M's, okay? Alright, first, my dog's here with me in case you're wondering. Okay, these are the 3 M's that are necessary to have consistent 5-figure launches. Consistent. Okay, write them down. Mindset, message, marketing. What's in your mindset? Your vision. We talked about this. What are you committed to creating? Okay, what's your commitment? If your commitment is money, stop it now. And I'm going to get the teacher finger out. Stop it now. That should not be what you're committed to creating. You should not be committed to creating money. You should not be committed to creating sales. What you should choose to be committed to is transformation. Why do I say this? When you're committed to making money, you are making that all about you. All about you. And not about the people that actually need support from where they're at to get them to where they want to be. So you've got to be committed to transformation. You've got to take a stand. You will make sales based on generosity. You will not make sales based on getting. People will not want to do that. So make sure that you know exactly what your vision is and what you're committed to creating. I actually had this conversation with a friend of mine, Tanya, earlier on, and our personality styles will be fairly similar now, I have to say, and we can generate results and we can get stuff done. But she was struggling with conversions, and we were just talking about what the difference is and what the challenge is. And for hers, it was the same as what most people is. She was so focused on the fact that she didn't have sales or that she wasn't converting clients that she forgot about what transformation she offered. She lost her vision. Every morning when you get up, you want to know what your vision is. What are you committed to creating? And repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This gets to be your obsession. You lose your vision, you're going to shift your energy. You shift your energy, you're not going to create results. So what are you committed to creating? This. And then you've got to step into your CEO. One of my mentors, Rex Crane, some of you may have heard me say this before. I am literally low-key obsessed with this man, as my daughter would say. I can honestly say this man has been part of the massive transformation in my life, because how he speaks, I hear him, like I can feel it in every bone in my body. Is he for everybody? No, he is 100% for me. I have always known about self-image and, you know, the necessity to step into the person that you're becoming. But there's some things that he has said that have made it really, really resonate with me. And I was re-listening to one of the sessions that he was doing with all of us as a group. And he was talking about how he was asked what his goals are. What his goals are for the year. And he was like, I don't set goals. And even I was like, sorry, what do you mean you don't set goals? Sure, what are you focusing on then if you're not setting goals? And he said, I focus on who I'm becoming, not what deadlines I'm going to reach. And I just went, oh my goodness. He was like, that's something I can be proud of, not the things that I get. Think of it from a CEO point of view. Who do you get to be to make this happen? Do you know who I had to get to be to make it happen? I had to be open. I had to be courageous. oh my God, was there courage involved. And I had to be joyful. I had to be happy to stay committed to my vision. Like, I had to be happy, like just really feel it in all of my body. And the best way that I can describe this to you is, and I said this to somebody else today and they broke their heart laughing. If you are going on your holidays, right? So you're going to a foreign country, you're going on your holidays. Do you wait till you get on your holidays to pack your bag? No, right? We buy the ticket, we go to the airport. Sorry, before we go to the airport, we pack our bag, we probably do a bit of shopping, and then we go to the airport and we get on the plane and we go to our destination, right? You've got to think about it like this. As a CEO, who do you get to be? And you have to operate from that place before you get the results that you want. Not after, but before. Before. So think of it like you're going on your holidays and you're not waiting until you get there to figure out who you're going to be. You get to be that person now. What is it like super uncomfortable? Yeah, at times it is, because you're terrified. And I'm speaking for myself here. I was terrified that somebody was going to come along and knock my confidence. I was terrified that somebody would tell me, Joanne, you're shit, stop talking. You don't know what you're talking about. I was terrified that somebody was going to say to me, you're a fraud. I'm taking you for all your money. At the time I didn't have any money. That's not the point. That's where my mind went, right? Because I wasn't stepping into fully who this was. When you're fully in it, the rest of it doesn't matter. Okay, let's keep going on to your message. This is so important. Most people do this and ignore this. Or they'll do this and ignore this. Or they'll do this and ignore this. Right? Fact. Harley, stop it. Stop it. My dog is such a devil. Every time I go live and do something, he likes to get involved. Come here, please. Harley, come here. Good boy. Good boy. He pulls his bed out of the crate and he lies on it, and then he gets bored and he goes off to play games. Harley, no. Okay, so let's look at your messaging, right? This is really, really important. Again, if you've been on the other masterclasses, you know this. How do you figure out what your message is, right? So your message is connection. That's nothing new, right? We do it through our content. How do we know what our content is? How do you know what your content is, right? If you want your content to connect with people, how do you know what it is? Here's what most people don't do. Ask. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Ask. Ask. You get to ask people what it is that they need. How do you do that? You follow me on social media, right? All of you do. You're on my email list. Where am I constantly asking questions? Everywhere, right? I've even asked you questions today. And I always say this, even if you don't answer, you're giving me information. If you answer, you're also giving me information. Ask. You're asking. You do not have to figure this out yourself. Most people figure it out themselves and then go, well, why is nobody responding to things? Because you're making it all about you. Remember, what are you committed to creating? Transformation. You can't can't create transformation if you're making it all about you. You have got to ask. I put up polls. I ask questions in my stories. I ask questions in my posts. I ask questions in my emails. Sometimes I reach out to people individually. But ask the questions. From there, you get your content, which is going to create the connection. The best thing about creating polls is anywhere, or surveys, whatever you want to call them, anywhere, is those that respond are warm. They want to talk to you. They want to get to, they like what you're doing. They just want to know. So ask. And if you say, I'm uncomfortable asking, what are you committed to creating and who do you get to be? I promise you, you can make up every single solitary excuse under the sun. Nothing is going to change until you choose it to. My cousin is a personal trainer. His name is Matthew Nagel, and it was a couple of years ago he put up a post, and I remember breaking my heart laughing because I was like, do you know what? That's the most simplest thing I've ever heard, but it is beyond true. He was saying, he was talking about clients going from being overweight to managing their health and getting like into like, you know, a lower dress size or feeling better in their bodies. And he was saying that, you know, he was having a conversation with one of his clients and she was really annoyed that she wasn't getting the results. And he turned around to her and he said, well, it's like this. You're uncomfortable with the way that you are. You want to feel comfortable when you get to where you're going to be, but you're going to be uncomfortable getting there. Either way, you're uncomfortable. So why not be uncomfortable getting what you want? I was like, I'm not sure that like just makes total sense. I'm already uncomfortable. I'm not getting the results I want. I'm uncomfortable, which means I'm giving out to myself about myself and I'm saying things, right? So apply it to yourself and go, okay, where am I uncomfortable right now? And yet you're saying you don't want to go to this place because it feels uncomfortable, but you're already uncomfortable. So who do you get to be? Who do you get to be? If you're not willing to ask, who do you get to be? You cannot be committed to being comfortable. You've got to let go of that. Okay, let's talk about marketing. This is your launch strategy, which I'm going to go through with you. But we have got to talk about these. Okay? We have got to talk about these because you need all of them. All of them. You can't do one. You can't do two. You've got to do three. Okay? So write them down. Mindset, message, marketing. All three have got to go together because all three generate consistency. And consistency is not constant, right? So for anybody, and I actually can't remember who I had this conversation with today, consistency isn't constant. Constant means all the time. You do not have to be present in your business all the time. When I'm not in audience build mode, so when I'm not in lead gen mode, I work on average 10, maximum 15 hours a week. When I'm in lead gen mode, I work significantly more because I'm putting in the effort for what's needed. Consistency is the application on a consistent basis. So the application of these three on a consistent basis. What that consistency looks like gets to be you. Okay, so what happens if you have mindset and messaging and no marketing? What happens? You want to know? You create a lot of love, but no sales. Why? Because you're focused on this and this, but not this. You've worked on your mindset. So many people work on their mindset. Oh my God. The volume of coaches I see that work on their mindset and will not transition into this is incredible. What is the point in just doing personal development work if you are not going to apply it? You're not really doing the personal development work if you're not willing to apply it. And yes, Monica, nobody knows about you. So you will get a lot of love, but you will have no sales. What happens if you apply your messaging and your marketing and you don't do your mindset? What happens? You will get a lot of the right people, right? Because your messaging is landing and your funnel, like your launch strategy, is working, but you will also have no sales. Why is that? Do you know why that is? Because you're not willing to step in to convert them. You will get all up in your face and all of your self-worth will come in. So you'll either get into convincing energy, where you're trying to convince people to work with you, convince people to buy from you, or you're so hardcore about it that you're going to scare the crap out of people and they're going to run away. But the people will be right. This is why you've got to do this. What happens then if you do your mindset and your marketing and not your messaging? You're going to attract two types of people. The first one is people who can't afford you. Number one, and people who don't want to pay you. Okay? So This one is the most annoying one, because guess what happens? You can get into convincing energy and convert them. If you're any type of a salesperson at all, right, at all, and we all are, you will be surprised at how many of them you can convert. But here's the fun thing, they're not going to fit into your ideal client. What happens when they don't fit into your ideal client? Let me tell you what happens, because I've had them. They're going to drain your time, your energy, your will to carry on with your business, right? And they're just going to be a drain on your resources, because all they want is you, your time, your energy, and nothing is ever good enough for them. Because if you attract people that can't afford you, that means that they haven't done this work, right? And they're not willing to take the steps to do the work. If you attract people that just don't want to pay you, they're not willing to take responsibility for their actions. They're not willing to stand in responsibility for what they're creating. It's up to you. It'll be your fault when they don't do it. So you do not want to attract those people. As a coach, I have done it multiple times. I've fired clients that fit into that. We are such loving people, right? If you're in any sort of transformation world, right, whether it be coaching, holistic therapy, like if it's yoga, Pilates, anything like that, right, we truly love people and we want the best for them and we want them to generate results. So we get super excited, we get invested in their outcome, and it means that we take on everybody because we know we can help them. But if the person isn't willing to help themselves, you will never get them over the line, ever. Ever. So it's really important for you to know that. Does it feel like awkward when, you know, you're trying to niche down and you're trying to figure out who your ideal client is and you're saying no to people? Yes, it does. I have had a couple of people that have come on to sales, more than a couple, that have come on to sales calls with me, and I won't offer them my program because they're not willing to do the work. And if I, in some cases where I have offered and I got off the phone, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that, I won't follow up. Because unless you do all of this, you are not going to attract the people that you want. So you need all three, okay? So you need all three. So let's recap before I go into your actual strategy. So your actual strategy is this. Mindset is your vision. What are you committed to creating? The only thing that you get to be committed to creating is transformation. If you're committed to just generating money, you won't do it. Right? So you've got to be committed to the transformation. How many lives do you want to transform? So go back to the last page that we did. If you know what your 5-figure months look like, your 5-figure launches look like, how many people fit into that? For some of you, it may be one person. For some of you, it may be 3. For some of you, it may be 5. You get to decide what that is. But also know that if you price low, you are going to attract these people. Is that a criticism of somebody who's in that space? No, it's not. But if that's not where you're at, if you're not at a place of transforming people that are just at the starting phases, then this is not where you want to focus. And even if you are in a position where your business is that you want to support people at the very beginning of their journey, you have got to get the commitment from them that they're going to do the work. Which is why some people start off with self-study courses. Because if somebody's going to do a self-study and then they add coaching onto it, they're going to do the work. Okay, so what are you committed to creating? Who do you get to be whenever you feel afraid or you feel unsure? Your messaging is all about connection. So again, transformation, connection. Your content is your connection. How do you figure out your content? You ask. And then your marketing is your launch strategy. And let me tell you this, right? I'm not even going to say my launch strategy is the best. I believe it's the best because it works over and over and over again for me and it works for my clients. A strategy is a strategy. It only works when you apply all of these, regardless of the strategy. So let me say this to you now. If you have been to workshops, masterclasses, challenges, or anything like that, and somebody is giving you the framework and you walk away and don't apply it, it's because you're not putting all these 3 together. Every strategy works When somebody shares it with you specifically for your business and you don't apply all of this, that's why it's not working. Not because the strategy isn't working. It's because you're not putting them all together. You're only willing to do it your way. You're only willing to do the bits that you're comfortable with. That was the biggest thing for me. And that was something that I shared in that email, was that when I was figuring out what wasn't working for me, when I got that 11.5 grand, my first ever 5-figure month, and then it wasn't working for me after that. I was like, why? And that's when I got to step back and go, okay, so every time I ever was coached, whether it was on something like this or whether it was like I was paying a coach to do it, I would only take the bits that I was comfortable with and I would apply it. Only the bits I was comfortable with. Whereas I could be given, say, 5 steps to do and I'll do 2. But I'll do them my way. I was beyond stubborn with that. So who was I committed to being? Right. I was only committed to being comfortable. I was not actually committed to doing the work. So who do you get to be? Who do you get to be? So what's a successful strategy, right? Successful strategy is 3 C's, okay? Number 1, clarity. Number 2, consistency. And number 3, completion. Okay, 3 C's. Clarity, consistency, completion. The 3 M's into the 3 C's. Mindset, messaging, marketing, clarity, consistency, completion. Where do most people fall down? All 3. All 3. And my favourite one is when people say, well, I'm posting all the time. Great. But are you clear on what you're posting? Do you know what your message is? You're consistent with it, but what's your idea of consistent? Are you just posting for the sake of posting? And what are you committed to completing? All of them are important. Okay, we're going to actually go on to your launch strategy. If you've got questions as we're going, drop them into the chat box so that I can answer them for you. Did I tell you I got a whiteboard? Robert's going to put up my whiteboard. Because this whole ripping pages off is not fun. Hey, Chrissies. I don't have room for them anymore. Okay, so your strategy. Are you ready for this? But remember, you've got to have your mindset, your messaging, and your marketing for this to actually work. Okay, what is your launch strategy? This is very simple, and I say this to my clients all the time. I can 100% teach you a business strategy in 4 hours. It is all the other stuff that takes forever. Why? Because we're on a growth journey. There's a reason why they say 90 to 95% of everything you do is mindset. Always what's your intention? What are you committed to creating? So when I give you this, I'm encouraging each of you to be super honest and ask yourself, what comes up for you with each of these? What are your first thoughts? Are they like, fuck that, I'm not doing that, right? That would have been mine. Or is it, yeah, I say I'm going to do that, but really I'm not, because, you know, I need to put the kids to bed, or, well, I have to work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit that in. I don't know how to use technology. Like, be really honest with what comes to your mind with these, all right? I gave this exact strategy to one of my clients there last week. We sat down and we mapped hers out for the next 3 months. She sells doTERRA oils, she does Reiki, and she does Indian head massage. So she has online plus she has local. So this strategy works for both. She is product plus service. Okay, so the very first thing is that you have got to decide, once you know what your transformation is that you offer and you know what the service is going to be, you have already asked your audience what it is that they need. Like, you've asked them what it is that they need. Same way I created these masterclasses, because I asked you guys, what did you need? You told me. How did I ask? I asked on my stories. I asked in polls in my group here, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on my email. Everybody came back with the same thing. How do I get an audience that buys? How do I make offers that sell consistently? It's the same thing. That's how these masterclasses were created. Okay? So you ask. So by now, you've moved it along, right? So by now, you know what that one topic is. Okay? So you get, this is literally your strategy, right? You get to focus. So number one is, for 10 days, okay, you are going to do back-to-back content on your topic. If you were at the audience build, then you know that you focus it on one platform. One. You get to figure out what that platform is. If you haven't watched the audience build, go back and watch it, okay? So you've got one topic and you talk about it consistently. You talk about it forwards, backwards, what to do, what not to do, how it shows up, how it doesn't show up, what the transformation looks like, what the transformation doesn't look like, what the results are, what the happiness is. Every single solitary way that you can talk about it over 10 days, you do that. You do that. You always want a call to action. During those 10 days, your call to action is purely engagement. Purely engagement. Because you are warming them up to make them warmer, right? For want of a better word. This is pure engagement. What do I mean by that? You're going to ask them to respond. You're going to ask them to drop an emoji. You're going to put up like a poll and ask a question. But it's always a call to action. Always, always, always. For 10 days, you have content on this particular topic. The call to action has the sole purpose is engagement. 10 days. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, do Reels. That's where your audience live. Do Reels. They will bump up your volume. What else do you do in this? Number 2. So that's 10 days. 5 days. You are going to launch your free event. You get to decide if it's a masterclass, if it's a workshop or a challenge. Within here, you are going to boost your engagement. You're going to boost your engagement by going live by 5 days. Do you go live on your own? No, you do collaborations with people who have your ideal clients. Every call to action is into your free event. This will bring them to an opt-in page to your email. If people are not on your email, they are not warm. If you do not have an email list, you need to carve one out, okay? So 10 days. You have your content on one topic. The topic has already been generated because you've asked your audience what specifically what they need. The call to action is around engagement. Do you feel this way? Have you experienced this? What's your funny story around this? Drop me a X if you agree, right? Straight after that, you're going into 5 days of launching your event. What do I mean by that? You're letting people know and inviting them into your event. Your event is a masterclass, a workshop, a challenge. You decide what it is. You're going to go live, so your content continues. You're going to go live every day for 5 days with another person to collaborate with them. It's putting you in front of another audience. Your call to action is inviting them to your free event. You give them the link. That is the only link that you want in your bio. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. That is the only link you want in your bio. I don't care if you've got a website. I don't care if you have multiple freebies. That is the only link that is in your website. That link goes everywhere. You talk about it consistently over the 5 days. Bring them to an opt-in page onto your email. If you do not have it like a fancy sales funnel yet, use your email provider. They all have landing pages. Are they the best? No. Will they do for the purpose of this if you haven't done it yet? Yes. Guess what the fun thing is? Set that up once, you get to rinse and repeat it. It never needs to change. What's the third thing? What's the third thing? You run the event. That was a trick question to see if anybody thought it was something else. Right, you run your event. Have I said anywhere in there what your offer is? No. Why have I not done that? Because remember, people don't buy your service and they don't buy your product. What do they buy? They buy transformation. How do you know what people need? You ask them. When you are running the event, you ask. You ask. Let me ask you right now. What is the one thing that you need right now to generate consistent results in your business? And this is an honest question. What do you need? Put it into the chat box. What is the one thing that you need to generate the consistent 5 figures in your business? What do you need? Do you need a funnel done for you? Do you need to know different ways to be able to generate income? Like, so then like to have multiple streams of income? Do you would you want me to write your content for you? Would you want me to write your messaging for you? Would you want me to give you a landing page that converts? Like, what is it that you need to generate the 5 figures? You know, like we all have that feeling of something that we know that we, like if it was given to us right now, would solve all of our problems. So put it into the chat box. What is that one thing that you need? So you run your event and you ask. Number 4 then is you generate your offer. I never, ever know what my offer is until I'm in front of my audience. Never. Do you know why I do that? Because if I have my offer beforehand, that's all about me. It's not about you. You have always got to want to ask. So Monica is saying content. The rest of you that are on here, share it in the chat. What is the one thing that would change for you? And Monica, I'm going to encourage you to be more specific. Is it email content, social media content? Your offer is going to be what people need, not what you want. And the amount of times that people are like, but Joanne, that doesn't make any sense because it's my program. My program is my program, 100%. The same way my program is my program. But my offer is your segue into it. You're transitioning people into what it is that you offer, right? So my offer is a business program, right? Takeoff is my business program. Takeoff is a 12-month program that walks people through from the very beginning, like as in like what the foundations are in your business, to your audience generation, to generating your messaging, to your sales. And then we go through the rinse and repeat, because the first time, like you've got loads of different things that come up for you. And then the second time it's like, okay, I get it now, right? So it's a year-long program that generates results for everybody, right? So it generates results for everybody. But if I was to say that to you, would you care? No, you wouldn't. If I was to say to you, I can get you from 0 to sold out in 12 months with the framework done for you, that's massively different, right? That's massively different. Why? Because I'm taking the time away from you. I'm taking the mechanics away from you. I'm showing you exactly how to do it. I'm teaching you, teach you around how to get clear on your messaging that lands with your clients, because the messaging that lands with all of you guys, for me, won't land with your clients. So how do you get to that point? Joan, social media content. Isn't that really interesting? Isn't that really interesting? So you're all saying the same thing, social media content. Why is that? Humor me and tell me why that is. Why is your social media content what you want to land? Or what would like change your business right now? And especially, right, and I'm asking this because I just think it's really interesting. So say I know both of you that have commented and you're both at the very early stages of your business. It's interesting that that's where you want to focus. It's not a criticism. It's a pure curiosity that that's where you want to focus on, is your social media content. And that'll tell you how much the media is driving home where you think your focus has got to be. So it's just a curiosity. I love this stuff. This is why I ask these questions. I'm always fascinated with what comes out of them. And they're nothing more than curiosities, right? And this is what you got to learn too in terms of your messaging. If you want to ask me when I came on this live to do this, is that what you would have wanted? No, that wouldn't have even entered my head. Never. I always have lots of ideas swirling around my head. That actually wasn't one of them. So this is why I ask. So this is your launch strategy. Now, what happens after you make your offer? So you make your offer on here, then what do you do? Most people are like, oh shit, nobody bought, right? So nobody bought, it didn't work. And this is where this becomes your secret to your consistent 5-figure launches. There are 4 buying styles. 4. The people that buy straight from here are like your director types, and then like your we call it promoter. So say my style, right? So as in very direct. If I'm in, if I'm not, I'm not. And then in terms of promoter style, is that like it's really excitable and it's like, oh my god, I can totally see this happening, right? That was how my coach locked me in. And she was like, if you don't do this now, what's going to happen? And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But then there's the other 2. The other 2 are people that are supportive and that are logical. Okay? These are the ones that tend to get left behind. These ones. They get left behind. Why? Because they don't make decisions on the spot. Does that make them bad? No. Does that make them wrong? No. Does that mean that they're not your ideal client? No. There's 4 different buying styles. You have got to lean into each of those buying styles in order to convert. The majority of sales are made with these 2 after the event. So you open your cart, which is what it's called, right? You open your cart during your event. When do you close it? It doesn't close when you close off the live. When does it close? You get to decide that. The average is anywhere between 3 to 14 days. Right? It's up to you. That's totally up to you. But you don't let it go. Because you don't want to lose out on these. How do you know who you have in front of you? You ask. How do you ask? You ask them what, like I would ask what's your buying style, right? That's how I would ask, and I give examples of the buying style. And I've done this multiple times where so my other half, Robert, we're alike and we're not alike, right? So does that make us incompatible? Absolutely not. And this is where people get to lean in and understand each other. How myself and Robert buy is completely the opposite. And we even actually had a conversation about this last week. We have multiple streams of income. We 7 between us, right? So we're building up our wealth and setting up our legacies, and we have our individual ones and then we have our ones together. But here's how 2 of them went. One of them was a financial investment for finance, right? It was around, not as in like a finance company, but just for, in terms of money. It was an investment we were making because it's one of the streams of income. And I had already decided I was in, this was happening, I was buying this. I just needed them to drop the offer, drop the link, and then I was good to go. I actually didn't give a shit after that. I would figure it out when I'm in, right? That's my buying style. I was already bought into the vision and what was possible because I'm here. I just wanted the link because I'm also here, right? That's my style. Robert's not. Robert's here. Robert's there. So how does that look for Robert? Robert needed to sit on that entire webinar. He then needed to sit on for the 2 hours that went on after with all the questions. For somebody like me, that will drive me bananas. Like, it will wreck my head. But for somebody that's like Robert, which most of you are, is that you need the detail. You need the consistent follow-up. You need to know every little nuance of what's happening, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, why it's going to happen. And then you also need to know that you're okay in it and that nobody else is going to be affected when you make this decision, that nothing is going to fall down around you. So when you know that, right, that's those people. They're never going to make the decision instantly because they need the detail, they need time to process it, and they need to make sure that they're going to be okay and that everybody else is going to be okay in the process. If you're like me, you're just in. The people that fit into this are pay in full. The people that fit into this are will do payment plans. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It is purely information for you to know. Don't leave these people behind. Don't leave them behind. You will leave them behind if you do not have a follow-up sequence. You will 100% leave them behind. Don't leave them behind. Here's another fun fact I told you. I had 2 stories around our investments. Right, just to show you the other side of it. We were looking at another stream of income, right? Again, I just needed the information. We were an hour and a half into this and still I was no further along. I actually walked away from my laptop and went, I'm just over this already, right? At that stage I was decided I'm not doing it. I just don't care. You've wrecked my head. I'm not doing it. That's my buying style, right? Not doing it. Robert sat there. I had logged off. I had already gone off to make a cup of tea and then I went to bed. I then started getting messages from him going, I'm doing this. I'm in. I've handed over the money. And I'm none the wiser going, I don't know what you've handed over the money to. I don't know what you're doing. What are you talking about, right? He had bought into another program, which is another stream of income for us to generate the results. But here's the fun fact about this. Robert bought into that program. Robert isn't going to do the work. So he got caught up in the vision, but not in actually doing the work. He did that based on us doing it together because I will do the work in it. Why? Because it was actually the vision of what it could create is what bought me in. He got bought into the details and the logical side of it. So that's why I'm saying to you, these are super important. Never, if these do not buy instantly, they're not going to buy. Your people that are supporters and that are very logical in their approach, don't leave them behind. Okay? Don't leave them behind. Have your follow-up sequence. Joan and Monica. Okay, so to catch attention from the prospects and to attract people to my page. Okay, great. So you know why you want this, which is brilliant, right? Because again, if you don't ask, you don't get. So this is my final masterclass and this is my final offer. The doors to Takeoff are closing on the 4th of September. We start the 5th of September at 8 p.m. GMT. We're starting. If you decide you want in after that, doors are closed. Not happening. Not happening. I am in a sales cycle right now, so my offer is for now. What does my program do? I'm going to get you from 0 to sold out. I am going to give you the tools. I'm going to take the time away from you which you're trying to figure it out. If you have been trying to figure this out for months or for years and you haven't done it, then you get to jump into this. You still trying to figure it out on your own isn't going to work. What's going to come up for you when you think about this is, I can't afford it. Do you know what I can't afford it actually means? I don't trust myself to actually do the work to generate the results. And I had this conversation with my best friend last week. She was talking about a decision that she needed to make in terms of investing in herself and her business. But she was making a decision based on the funds that she had right now. But she was doing that based on the fact that she was never going to make the money. You can't operate like that. You've got to operate, go back to the CEO from who you get to be. Money is a trust piece, is that we don't trust ourselves to actually generate the results. However, studies and science have shown that when we invest in ourselves, what happens? We generate the results. Why? Because we will do the work. When we invest low amounts, so like even think about it from a shopping point of view. If you invest like low amounts, so as in like you go to Penny's, Primark, Target in America, right? They're low value enough items. Whereas if you go to the likes of Brown Thomas, Harrods, Gucci, and you spend money on that, you're going to put in the work. So if you're saying right now, I don't have the money, is that technically true? Or is it that you're afraid that you're not going to be able to generate the results to get the money back? When I first made that 11.5 grand, I had invested 15 grand into my coach. 15 grand. In less than 3 months, I had that entire thing paid. Entire thing paid. So you've got to trust in yourself to be able to do this. So my offer is, you guys have asked for social media. Guess what? I will give you a class on messaging on social media. But you have to opt in before the 4th of September. Now, I don't take everybody in, as I've already said. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link here for you to book a call to see whether or not you're a right fit. And if you're not, you're not. But you get to book the call and have the conversation around it. I'm just going to put the link in there now. Yeah, so the link is there. So my offer to you is to book a call, and if you're a right fit, you will get access to Takeoff. So we start on the 5th of September. It's 12 months of coaching. We do calls every single solitary month for the first 3 weeks of the month, and I literally teach you how to do it. I'm going to break it down into chunk size pieces. You're going to see how the background stuff works. You're going to get your emails. You're going to get all the stuff ready for you, and then we're going to work on your messaging so that you can speak to your exact clients. You're also going to figure out who your clients are. And as a bonus, if you're in before the 4th of September, I will give you a 90-minute social media content class. That simple. That simple. So click the link. Don't let another quarter go by where you're not generating the results. You got to make a decision right now as to whether or not you're in your business or you're just going to sit back and look at your business. Go get the results that you want. You absolutely have this strategy here and you can go and apply it. But if you've sat on masterclasses before or workshops and you've seen a strategy and you haven't gone and applied it, that's telling you something. It's telling you that you need the accountability. It's telling you that you need the exact steps of what to do because you're not applying it. If you're putting excuses and conditions on things that I'll do this when, or I need to do this before I do this, you're not in a CEO mindset. You're still in that kind of employment mindset. CEOs make decisions that are uncomfortable to make. You've got to do it. Nobody else can do it for you. Keep dropping your questions here and I'm going to keep an eye on it. This offer literally goes on the 4th of September. It's gone because all the pricing is going up and everything, so it's gone. And if you decide you want in on the 5th, too late. Too late. It is gone. So don't let another quarter go by. Don't let another month go by or a week go by where you're not generating the results that you want. If you have yet to generate the results, that's feedback for you. There's a gap. Close the gap. Close it so that you can have the results that you want. It's a lot easier when you're generating consistent 5-figure months. Believe me, it's a lot easier. You don't have as much to worry about in your business because you can pay people to do stuff for you, which is just a dream. Like, it's just a dream. My VA, I would be lost without her. Could I afford to do that if I wasn't generating consistent 5-figure months? Nope. Why? Because she's costing 4 figures. How could I do that? So take a stand for you in your business and go generate the results that you want. Those of you that need the background support because you haven't generated yet, you have to book a call. And I will see you on that call. Thank you so much for joining me on all these masterclasses. It's been so much fun. Love doing these. These are my jam. And I will talk to you all very soon. Have a lovely evening or afternoon, depending on where you are.